Good morning, everyone. I just want to introduce our guest speaker for this week. Her name is Lerato Ndlovu. Lerato is a 22-year-old woman from a village in Northwest called Luka. She is passionate about politics, women, and student activism. She is the 2021-2022 Southern African People Solidarity Network Interim Committee member, a 2021 to 2023 South African Union of Students NEC member, and the 2021 first Black woman UPSRC president and 2020 StarGraduate finalist. Lerato holds an honors degree in political science and is currently pursuing a master's degree in development studies with economics. She's a firm believer that our interconnectedness gives us a greater purpose beyond ourselves, a purpose to build and grow the world around us. Lerato continues to be a change agent in her community, and we welcome her today. Welcome, Lerato, and over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for the welcome. Good morning to everyone. And I'm just so happy I got to meet a few people before we actually started. So that was great. And just as a side note, that the energy and the warmth and the genuine posture of some of the people that I've met is really so encouraging. And that's why I'm very excited about this now. I was quite nervous yesterday, but now I'm just a little excited. I will try my best to stick to the time. I do tend to go on forever and ever, but because I would like to hear from everyone else, I will keep what I am saying short so that we can have meaningful conversation after. And thank you once again. You'll just indicate if I can start, or do I just start right away?
You can just start right away.
Oh, okay, thank you. As I've already been introduced, Kalina, Lerato. Lerato, I'm from a village in Luka, called Luka. And I went to the University of Pretoria. I've moved to Pretoria now, but it's a great honor to be asked to come speak on this particular topic because it's so close to my heart. It's so meaningful to me because these are the conversations that I needed in my life. Already, I'm thinking now earlier when I was contesting for all of these positions, these were conversations and groups that I would have appreciated to have support, knowledge, and just to do life with people. I'm a strong believer that we don't live life independently. You know, I don't believe in this thing of, no, it's just you can do it. I don't believe in you, I believe in us. So I would have really appreciated this community earlier on, a few years back. It would have done a lot. So I just want to begin by acknowledging the great work that Girleada is doing. May you guys just continue doing it and do it selflessly and genuinely. Continue being so genuine and so raw about it because it is needed, I promise you. And I will just off the bat, I was asked to come speak on leadership, mainly public speaking, influencing, and having power. And I was also asked to speak about my story running for SRC president, being SRC president and the first. So I'll just dive in, then I'll just note some few points, then we'll just take it from there. I just wanted to be very interactive. I don't like the sound of my voice for too long. So I hope we will just all be participating, questions, comments, and advice even from you guys. Yes, so I'll take you back to 2019. Yes, 2019, when I first contested for the SRC, and that was for the position of secretary. Ended up getting deputy secretary, and I was the only woman in the executive. So I'm not sure how we're all from different institutions, those who are in different universities in different countries. At the University of Pretoria in South Africa, the executive committee of the SRC is often the one that takes a lot of decisions and basically leads student governance in the university. The executive, which is the top 5. And I was the only woman sitting on that. And that was at the beginning of COVID. So it was in 2020, beginning of COVID, April, beginning of COVID. And it was intense. I think one thing I did not expect, again, that's why I applaud this organization, Girleada, is that we are sometimes thrown in the deep end with no skills and resources to survive. So you are forced to swim or you'll sink. That is one of my favorite sayings. It's either you have two options, it's to swim or to sink. So I would like to say that when it comes to leadership, I learned the hard way. I was forced to swim in a very sinking situation. So that really grew me in character and taught me a lot, you know. Coming now to 2021, when I was elected for SRC president, and I was SRC president, one thing that was there is everyone and people will support you, especially when you win. Everyone supports, messages of support come through while you are campaigning. So people will support you because it meant a lot for a lot of people. This was history in our university. So a lot of people were very supportive during that time. I remember, which I will speak about later, I remember how even ladies who do not know me, random girls in the university took it upon themselves actually to do campaigning, places which I couldn't go because we have many campuses. So they would go in their groups and go and support because it meant a lot, not just for me, but for everyone in our community. Everyone was there to support. But one thing that nobody told you is that once you do win, once you get in there, there was not absolutely, but there was little to no support. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying because of the lack of the institutionalization of such structures like Girleada, because of the lack of knowledge and support that people can give, because of the lack of knowledge that they have, there is little to no support for women in a lot of these positions because the way things are currently structured, they're structured in such a way where it's not meant to maintain and sustain our bodies in these places. Thus, we need to stand up and fight to create a level to recreate these structures to serve and sustain us, to ensure that it's a safe place for us, and also it is a place where we can grow and bring impact. So that was just context of where I come from. So now when we speak of leadership, so I'll also speak about three things, which is influence, power, and public speaking. I will start first with influence. One of my favorite stories when it comes to influence is about the first president. I'm not sure if you guys know her, the first woman president in Africa, first woman to ever be president in Africa. Her name is President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. She was the first president. And she once told the story in an interview where she spoke of how, so Liberia, they had a civil war for about 14 years. Then towards the end of the civil war, there were negotiations. So there were peace negotiations taking place. So you had to take place outside of Liberia for neutral ground. And for those who did peace studies, that is often advised. So the peace negotiations were being held in Ghana. And she told this beautiful story, and that for me, it touched me, and it continues to touch me. She told the story of how the market women, so we all know we have them, but usually in our case, they're women who sell vegetables and fruits at the side of the road, market women in the country, in Liberia. They gathered themselves, and with her among them, gathered themselves, and they said, they put it upon themselves. So they took responsibility, they took ownership and said, if they don't step in, this civil war will never come to an end. If they don't step in, this will continue to hurt their children. This will continue to hurt their economy. This will continue to hurt their country. So women gathered and spoke on this level and said they had to step in, because should this continue, every facet and sector of their country will be in shambles and end up dying. So the women of Liberia gathered themselves and walked all the way from Liberia, they literally went all the way to Ghana from Liberia, got there, and they stood at the gates, the doors of where the negotiations were taking place. And they said that no one is leaving this room, nobody's leaving this venue until a peace agreement, we come to a peace agreement and the war comes to an end. And they stood at the door, and it's even said that there was, there was fight back because they wanted to leave, because it was men, apparently it was just men in the room who were in those negotiations. And because of other issues, they were struggling to come to a conclusion. They were struggling to come to a peace agreement. They were struggling to come to consensus. And those women stood there steadfast in front. Imagine the people who were inside those buildings who were fighting back. They were military leaders. They were leaders of countries. These were mighty, big men. And those women stood steadfast right in that moment and said, nobody's leaving until we get an end to this war. And that happened. And that is when President Sirleaf, Ellen Johnson, was elected the first president after the Civil War, was elected president after the Civil War. And it was because of a group of women saying, listen, we are calling each other. We are coming together because we believe that we will contribute. We have a contribution and our contribution matters. And in this case, it really did. And in every case, it really does. So again, applauding this convening of women, of young women on this continent, saying that we have a word, we have a say, and we will own up to that. So where does influence come in that? That is so how President Sirleaf gets elected was again these women. It was these women who said, listen, we run this country basically, because numerically speaking, we had at that time, there were a lot of women because men were going to war. So men were the ones who were going to war and a lot of men were dying. So numerically speaking, women were the most. So women noticed this and they stood up and said, because of that, from among us, we will choose one of us, and that will be our president. They did exactly that. President Sirleaf was elected in, and through her work, even in her presidency, she continued to take advice, to take counsel from these group of women, and actually bring if you're gonna look back in her term and all the policies she brought through, all the work she had done is excellent work. And it was all advised from a group of women who are often taken for granted and neglected, market women. So those are women who are selling your vegetables at the side of the street, who are selling your fruits. And she took counsel from those people, and her influence lives beyond her till this day. Her influence lives beyond her. So from that, what do we learn? Now bringing it back to influence. What can we see from that is that, number one, when we speak of an influential person, we need to look, this influence that we refer to, is it sustainable? Does it live beyond them? Unfortunately, we live in a time of social media. I'm not a fan of social media. So that's why the unfortunate part, but it's fine. We appreciate social media here and there. We live in a time where we are taught and we are socialized into believing that influence is followership, influence is social media capacity, which in some cases it is the truth. It is true. There are people who do influence with a lot of followers on Instagram or Twitter or whatever social media platform. It's even given a title of influencer. You influence people to buy a certain product. You influence people to do a certain thing, which you get paid for. However, I would like to caution us in believing that is the only influence, or that is the epitome of influence. I would like to caution us against that, because it is going to put us in a place where we undermine the impact that we have in our communities just because we don't have a certain level of followership, a certain level of support, a certain level of a certain kind of platform. So that is not the only, social media is not the only type of influence you can have. So that is number one, is that your influence should live beyond you. So the output of your influence, it should be sustainable beyond you. And that's what we see with President Sirleaf, is that till this day, women in Liberia are taking up positions. Till this day, women in Liberia are breaking these boundaries. They are leading, and they're at the forefront of conversations within the country. And this is what we can learn. And now coming back to me, I'll just use, I was asked to speak on my term. Now I'm talking about other people. So I will just chip in my experience with this. Is that one of the things that I stepped into my term, say as SRC president last year, was that I would like to one of the things I would like to influence the way student leaders at the university think, operate, and act. I know it's it sounds a bit idealistic in the head, but that was something that I truly believed in and I truly wanted, is that the posture of student leaders and student activists in the university needs to change. Because what I saw, the gap that I saw, and again, gap. So for you to bring influence, you need to focus on something, gap to fill in and improve society. But what the gap that I saw was that we are now starting to serve ourselves. So post Fees Must Fall, I'm not sure if a lot of you know about Fees Must Fall 2015-16. If you don't know, you may go search it. Huge protests throughout the whole country, young people standing up and saying free education. Post that, we had an era and energy of students who felt as though they can use certain situations to build themselves. So this was post Fees Must Fall. So Fees Must Fall was amazing. It was inspiring. It was amazing. So post that, I'm not talking about Fees Must Fall, I'm talking about post that. There were a lot of student leaders and activists who had the belief that this is a platform to build myself. So that started being a culture that was developed, that the louder I speak, the more followers I will get. The more chaos I cause for my own benefit, not necessarily genuine about the cause. So take a cause and just be very loud on it, be very vocal on it, then it will build your career. And that was the culture that was created. And that really hurt and deeply scarred my heart and just my soul, because we become so disingenuous in our causes. Because why? We are focused on building the self and building the self profile. So one of the things that I really wanted to influence during my term was the change in the posture of student leaders and student activists within the university. And like I said, it must outlive you. So now that when I'm looking back now, I'm not saying everything is solved, no, but I am inspired at how people have reduced in those tendencies to even a point where there's a level of selflessness. From last year and the beginning of this year alone, we have seen a lot of student leaders who have I don't want to say laid their lives down, that sounds a bit intense, but who have set aside their own agendas and taken up student issues genuinely. So it has shown in our interactions, it has shown in student leaders' interactions, whether with management, with stakeholders. It has really, the posture of student leaders at the university has taken sorry? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought someone was trying to speak. Has taken a shift. So that has really, really, really inspired me that, and also with influence, you need to live what you preach. So you need to genuinely believe in what you're doing. And that has truly inspired me to see that in my community, in my community, I had the opportunity of doing this, and to see the shift has been really inspiring and close and encouraged me to do more. So then the second point on influence is that, so the first one is that your influence must be sustainable and live beyond you. Then number two, influence in your community. Influence in your, again, I'm not a fan of social media, but I won't demonize it because it is excellent. I think a lot of wonderful things happen on social media. Number two is influence in your community. Do not focus. Sometimes we get lost in focusing on something that is so detached. I'm seeing it. Okay. I'm not sure if that was for me, but it disappeared. Okay, yes. So influence in your community. Let us not be captured and distracted by, which is good, that things from far, like, you know, Black Lives Matter, we all had those, we all had the black post on social media. You know, we spend a lot of energy and a lot of time in things that are so detached and so, not detached, but far from us, that sometimes we often neglect our own communities. So again, you do not need a great following. You do not need a big platform. You do not need all of that. We need to start focusing on our community, because true change comes from the community and your surroundings that you are currently living in, the surroundings that you're currently in. You are more impactful there than you could ever be elsewhere. So I'd like to just encourage us to spend time in looking at problems and Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Lerato.
I don't know what's happening now. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Now somebody muted me, so I thought I was not audible. All right, thank you. So I'd just like to encourage us, let's focus in our communities. Well, let's focus in our communities and build there, because we have been put in that particular community for a reason. So let us focus and rechannel our energy to them. Then secondly, I would like to speak on, I'm looking at time. Like I said, I tend to talk a lot sometimes. I'm looking at time, so I'll try to keep myself short. Secondly, speaking on power and leadership is, number one, nurture your power. Exercise and nurture your power. What do I mean by, okay, invest? Let me use the term invest in your power. What do I mean by invest in your power? So power often comes with two elements. It's, you are in a particular position and you have certain powers in that position. So if you run for office, you run to be, I don't know, a counselor in your municipality, or you run for office, anything that you run for, then you're given a position and you get the position, it comes with certain powers. It comes with certain powers, you can do certain things. So as SRC president, you can make decisions on behalf of the student body. You know, it comes with certain powers. Then secondly, the second kind and the second element of power, which I would like to speak a lot on, is the power that you have, because firstly, the knowledge that you have. So the power that you have because of the knowledge and the passion you have for a certain cause. That is why sometimes you don't even need to be elected. It doesn't begin with the election. It begins firstly in your heart, in your soul, in your body, and you're truly passionate about a certain cause. You are truly passionate about it. Truly and genuinely passionate about it, you do find that in that there is power, because you have the will, you have the drive, you will find the resources to make something happen, you know? So that is the power that for me means a lot, is that sometimes you don't even need to be elected first. You need to establish this power within yourself first. And that comes with what? Investing in your power. Whatever you are passionate on, whether you're passionate on climate change, whether you're passionate on the environment, you're passionate about politics, business, whatever you're passionate about, you need to start investing in yourself. So reading, this comes with reading, studying material of the territory that you currently are in. reading. And this one, I know this, again, with the discussion, if there's anyone who disagrees with what I'm about to say, we can bring it up. It's a bit of a controversial view that I have, is that we need to stop patronizing each other as women. And I think we don't do that maliciously. We don't do that on purpose. We do it by mistake because we think that, no, we're just supporting, which is good, that we must support each other. But we need to also stop patronizing each other. We need to come to a place where we are able, well, kindly and respectfully tell each other that, listen, I don't think that you have maybe read up enough on this. I don't think you have fully, I don't know, done something, or I don't think we need to stop being brutally honest with each other, because we need to understand, as a support and ecosystem that we are creating of support, comes also the responsibility of growing each other. So not only support, but support and growth. And that comes at the level of honesty, that we need to start investing in our mental knowledge. We need to start investing in social capital. We need to start investing in ourselves so that we are able to exercise power freely and widely. So I just want to encourage us that invest in your power, read, go to events, grow your social capital, listen to podcasts. So what I started doing as an investment, I stopped listening to, so when you wash dishes and you listen to music, I stopped listening to music. I now listen to podcasts. So I'm currently listening to the podcast, which I'm currently enjoying, is 100 Women to Talk to. 100 Women That You Must Talk To. It's on Apple Podcasts. I listen to podcasts. Whenever I want to watch Netflix, I'm not saying deprive yourself of all of these things. No, definitely do them. But start to find easier ways to invest in yourself, because sometimes it's difficult with the lifestyles that we live. It's difficult to pick up a book and just read, because you have school this side it's work, this side it's actual responsibilities you have maybe at home, So sometimes it becomes difficult to have those moments of reading or just investment. So listen to podcasts, listen to YouTube videos, which will build what you are passionate about. So small things, small steps that you can take towards investing yourself. And that is what I'm also doing, is listening to podcasts, YouTube videos. I don't listen to music that much anymore, but it's coming all right. Sometimes it's tricky because I would rather watch a nice series on Netflix, but self-discipline, it also comes at the level of discipline. And that is also now number 2 of power, is that it comes with a high level of discipline. Power can only be exercised accordingly when you are disciplined with it. That is why we get right now a lot of leaders who are misusing and abusing power, because power is good. I'm not going to lie to you. Knowing that you have the power to do something, knowing that I can call someone right now and something happened, sometimes that feels good. And that is why we find ourselves in a lot of position where people are misusing that. So again, before you even get to that position of power, as you're pursuing leadership in whatever area that you're in, learn to exercise discipline now, even before you get there. Learn to exercise discipline and focus. Then number 3 is nurture and stay loyal to your constituency. Nurture and stay loyal to your constituency. Again, one thing with power, we all know those sayings of, no, power has gotten to his head, power has gotten to her head, Our power does sometimes find a way to consume you, especially if you've wanted something for so long and you finally have it. Sometimes people fall in the mistake of being consumed by the power and being detached from why you were doing it in the first place. Again, going back to President Sirleaf, I'm a fan, so I'm going to reference her a lot. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the one I was speaking about earlier, she, even during her term as the president, she would always go back to those very same women and do what? Listen to them. And that is also because that was where her power started, in inverted commas, you could refer that. And she always made sure that she goes back to her own constituency, to her own people, and listened and they're the ones who guided her and helped her throughout her own term. So that is just my advice, that even as you're about to run for whatever you're running for, leadership position that you are elected or appointed in, learn to remain loyal to your people, the cause that puts you there. Do not be consumed by it. Do not be consumed by it. Yes. Oh, I'm doing well on time. Then the last point that I was asked to come speak about is about public speaking. My favorite quote when we speak about public speaking, it's not even a quote, it's a story that she told, but it's a piece of the story. It's a quote from the story that she was telling. This was the first Secretary of State of the USA, the first woman Secretary of State of the USA, Madeleine Albright. And the quote says, she said in the story, I will paraphrase it, in the story that she was telling, she said that they went to the UN. So we all know the UN is where all the countries meet. And she was the only woman in the room, in the Security Council. So they were dealing with security matters. And she said that she was the only woman in the room. And she said to herself, okay, I'm not going to speak because it's my first time here. This is what she said to herself. I'm not going to speak. It's my first time here. So let me get comfortable first. Then once I've seen what's happening and I'm comfortable, then I will raise my hand and I will speak, which will be in tomorrow's meeting. Then she entered the room. She was the only one and sat there. And as she sat there, they put the name of your country in front of you. So her country was the United States, and she saw that she was representing the United States. And she said to herself, and again, this is where another quote comes from, if I don't speak today, the United States won't have a voice today. And that has always been a quote that really sticks with me, because again, going back to now, when you're in leadership comes with responsibility. Leadership, you're often not leading yourself. We always say this whole, no, you're not leading yourself. You are leading people. Oftentimes, no, it depends which position you're in. There are people's lives in your hands. There are people's livelihoods in your hands. So people's sustenance is in your hands. People, you are the voice of a group of people as a leader. You are a voice for someone. You are not, it's not about you. I will forever emphasize this. It's a personal thing. It's not about you. Whenever you find yourself leading a group of people, leading in a certain area, it's not about you. It's not about you. You are the mouthpiece for a group of people. You are a mouthpiece for a group of people. So you need to understand that. And ever since I understood that, there has been a transformation in my public speaking. Believe it or not, I used to love public speaking as a child. So I loved public speaking. And the reason why I loved public speaking is because in high school, public speaking was about anything. So I remember they used to give you a topic. Maybe sometimes they'll say, talk about the environment, talk about, I don't know, cats and dogs, it would be about abstract things. So I used to enjoy it because I like talking. I used to enjoy it. However, when I came to university and started being active in these leadership positions, I started to fear and dread public speaking, because whoa, it was nerve-wracking, because now I'm not speaking about cats and dogs. Now I was speaking about serious things. I was speaking about legitimate things, and I used to fear it to a point where I would even hold back from speaking in some rooms because it was just too intimidating. It was just too overwhelming. But once you start understanding that it is not about you, I think public speaking would also we need to have a psychological view about it. Not just, there are a lot of tips on the internet. I would encourage you to go read them. So tips like, when you're speaking in front of people, don't look at anyone, just look at the back. So it looks like you're looking at everyone, but in fact, you're just looking at the wall at the back. So those are great tips. I would just like to touch on the ones that I haven't seen on the internet. So the first one is the psychological mindset you would need to have to do well in public speaking is understanding, especially when you're a leader. I was asked to speak on leadership. So when you're a leader, you need to understand, like I said, that firstly, you are the voice of people. So if you do not speak, you have single-handedly silenced a group of people. I know it's scary when you think about it, but I promise you, it changed. Now it changed. It changed the way I speak. It changed my fear for speaking, is that you need to understand that there is a group of people who will be voiceless if you don't speak in that moment. That's number one. Number two, when you speak now of the psychological side, so mentally, how to mentally improve yourself in public speaking. Number two is believing in what you are saying, especially as a leader. When you are in a leadership position, there is a certain cause that you are there for. You're not just leading idly for nothing. There is a certain cause, whether again, be in business, politics, environment issues, whatever you are chosen as a leader for, there is a cause that group of people, there is a cause that they are driving. So to mentally prepare yourself for public speaking is believing in your cause, and again, investing in knowing about the cause. So know what you're talking about. Know what you're talking about. Know what your people, so your group that you are leading, know what they believe and truly believe those things. When you truly believe something, it gets a little easier to speak about it because you know what you're talking about. You have all the facts, you know what you're talking about, and also you believe in what you're saying. So those are two things that you would need to do to mentally prepare for public speaking. Number one, understanding that it's not about you, you're representing a group of people. If you don't speak, a group of people will be silenced. Number two is learning and also believing in the cause that you're standing for. Then now, practical steps, so practical physical things to prepare for public speaking. I would advise you to practice. Public speaking, the more you stand in front of people and speak, the easier it gets, especially if you are speaking on one thing. So if you are a leader, politics, and your office has to do with gender and equality, the more you stand in front of people speaking about the same thing, it becomes your second skin, man. It just flows. It flows. So practice. I would like to emphasize that. So whenever, I would always shy away from events. So things like this. So being asked to come speak, I didn't want to do that because, oh no, it's nerve-wracking. So I don't want to do it. But I always forced myself to show up. Listen, even if you make a mess, man, there's another chance to redeem yourself. You will make a mess here, but because you take notes of the messes you're making, and you will do better. The more you do it, the better you will get. And I learned that from experience. The more you do it, the better you will get. So that's number one, is just practice. These are practical steps now. Practice. Number two, that I would advise you when you are speaking, and something that I also did during my term, is that listen to other people speak. Listen to other people speak. I strongly believe in community, guys. I don't believe in this thing of, no, it's you alone, you are superstar. No. Be a teachable person. Wherever you go, take in knowledge. Even when you're asked to come give knowledge, no. Go there, yes, give what you need to give, but then take in a lot of knowledge, because with the knowledge that you're taking in, you also grow yourself as a person. So I used to listen to a lot of people speak, especially other student leaders. I used to listen to other student leaders speak. My favorite was Ndlovu, RU president. She was also the first woman president at Rhodes University. No, I'm lying. Oh, excuse me. Apologies. That was Polimpopo. That was the first woman. But yes, Ndlovu, Rhodes University president 2021. Excellent. That woman, when she speaks, there is a level of passion and genuine energy when she speaks, and she's well learned in what she's passionate about, community work and gender and sexuality issues. She speaks, man. And those are the type of people that obviously we'd be in the same circles because we were all presidents at the same time. So I would listen to her when she speaks. So whenever we are at a meeting or an event, I listen to her when she speaks. Another young lady that really, whoa. Again, she also specializes in gender and sexuality issues is Palomino Jama. When she speaks, I'm also there. I'm taking notes. I'm listening. Listen to how people articulate. Listen to how people, I'm not saying become like them. No. Because again, you are bringing your own thing. You know, you are unique. You are bringing your own contribution. So I'm not saying mimic them, but listen and learn to how they articulate, how they speak on this matter. So listen, and listen again. Yes, so it's practice, then listen. So listen to other people's speeches, listen to other people speaking. Then just finally is be comfortable. And unfortunately, this is a conversation that we're still having. One of my favorite women who inspire me, her name, the current chair of the World Trade Organization, her name is, I wrote it down here because I always mispronounce it, Ngozi Iweala. She is one of my favorite leaders. I love her. I look up to her. I want to be her. She recently wrote a book. And in that book, one of the chapters, she's speaking about how just the way she was dressed changed or influenced what she was saying. So in the book, she speaks about how it's unfortunate. Yes, we don't want to have these conversations because we want to put an end to it. However, we are still living in this realm where actually women, what they're dressed in, they get judged for it, even as a leader. There's a part in the book where she speaks that it's unfortunate how she has to write this part of the book. She writes that it's unfortunate that she has to write this part of the book, is that whenever you go before people, so stand in front of people, always aim for your words and what you have to say to outshine what you are wearing. And it's a bit of a controversial one, but even with me, I experienced it. I didn't expect to experience it because I'm dealing with young people, young progressive people who won't judge me for what I'm wearing, but they did, especially as a woman. You do get judged for what you're wearing. My advice will always be, for public speaking, my advice will always be comfortable. The more comfortable you are, the more confident you are. If you are not you are not comfortable in high heels, don't do that. Find a nice loafer, chill, because the more comfortable you are, it will show even in the way that you speak. So that was also my advice. Unfortunately, it has to be advised. Unfortunately, we're still advising women how to dress, and that is extremely bad, and we should actually stop. But I'm just saying, my only 2 cents when it comes to this is the more comfortable you are, the more confident you are. So I would like to encourage that even when it comes to public speaking. But for the other nitty-gritties of public speaking, it is on the internet. It's all over the internet. You'll get it, of how to imagine. Some people even say, imagine people are not dressed. Imagine people are naked, so it becomes funny, then you're more comfortable. Listen, all the advice is there, but that was just my advice. Things that I haven't seen really on the internet is the mental one, psychological one, as a leader, overcoming public speaking is, I already gave you those things. It's not about you. Sorry, it's not about you. Then also the practicing, and also listen to other leaders when they speak, because that will help you a lot. Then finally, in conclusion, I'll just end off with a few points. Number one, in conclusion, just advise as a leader, as we are all at the beginning of our leadership stages, because I believe that we are young. We still need to conquer Africa. Come on, listen. We have time. We got this. It's still at the beginning stages of our leadership. Number one, failure is inevitable. You're not always going to win. However, you can find a win in everything. So I remember my first political loss. So I love winning. When it comes to politics, I'm a fighter. So I will fight until I win. I'm very competitive. I'm very, very competitive. And I remember my first big loss, which was last year. I did not get, so I ran for I'm actually in the executive committee, but I wanted a particular position and I didn't get that position. That was my first big political loss. And I was hurt. I was really, really hurt. However, in retrospect, I look back and I am now I'm now seeing the wins in that loss. Because even the position that I got now, although it's not what I wanted, it's yielding more results and growth and opportunity for more. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited. But failure is inevitable. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Sometimes it is personal. Take it to heart if you must, but it should not put you in a position where you give up, leave, and quit. That's number one. Failure is inevitable. It is going to happen. Listen, get up. I promise you, get up. There is more to come. Then number two, it's boldness and fearlessness. As women, again, I experienced this during my term. Like I said, like being the first is that it's scary. I think last year for me was the scariest year of my life. 90% of the time I was scared. 90% of the time I was scared. I can tell you that. I promise you, I was scared 90% of the time. However, again, if you now think that, okay, I'm here for a purpose, I'm representing a certain group of people, people's livelihoods are in my hands, students' lives are in my hands. So I was forced into the state of boldness and fearlessness. Fearlessness and boldness is what I would advise you. Do not compromise on your cause just to make other people feel comfortable. Be fearless, be bold. I saw in one of the sessions that you guys had earlier, you spoke very nicely about Malala, what's her surname? I forgot her surname, but Malala, the one who was the education activist who was shot in the head. And she is so fearless and so bold. And please, that's what I encourage us to do. I'm not going to touch on it because there was an entire session on it. I watched that one. You guys spoke about it earlier, but again, boldness and fearlessness. Then number three is purpose and patience. Find your purpose. My ladies, please find your purpose. I think one of the reasons why there's this narrative of no, women are always fighting each other, which is a lie actually, because everybody fights everyone. It's politics. Well, in my field, it's politics. We all fight each other. We must. It's politics. The issue is that we've been convinced, we have been sold the lie that there's only one chair or two chairs at the table and we must all fight for those chairs. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. We need to find our purposes, our callings, and we will fight to get into those positions, and we will make space for the rest of us. So 10 of us could be here for politics, 10 will be here for business, 10 will be here for community work, 10 will be for something else. We will all, if we all just find our purpose and nurture it, purpose, we will all be able to support each other in that particular area. So if you find your purpose, you will help yourself a lot, because you also won't be distracted by other people. You won't be distracted by everyone else being successful, doing what they're doing. You won't be distracted by all of this because you understand your purpose, and your purpose comes with what? Patience, that your time will come and your cause is still your cause, and focus on that. Really, it has helped me a lot. Finding your purpose and focusing on that. My peers are doing other things, and sometimes I'm tempted to also do that, but that's not my purpose. And I always remind myself that's not my purpose, so I will do more damage than good. Then lastly is that we have a generational mission. And we need to adopt the habit of the posture of selflessness, because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about a generation, and we are just playing a role within that generational mission. So we need to stop building our profiles, well, of course, you need to do that to get a job, you need to do that to just pass on life, but that should not be your primary goal. Your primary goal should not be, okay, Lerato wants to go to the AU and chair the AU one day, so she needs to build her profile for 1, 2, 3. No. Your primary goal should be, Lerato wants to go to the AU to do 1, 2, 3. So to achieve 1, 2, 3 for the continent, she needs to connect with these people. So even the way that we think, we are not the primary goal. We are just tools, and we are vessels to carry out a generational mission. So yes, you're going to win. We all want you to succeed, for you to be a good leader, but you should not be a good leader just for you to be a good leader. No. Your good leadership must be a means to an end. I mean, yes, it must not be the end in itself. It must be a means to an end. So that was just my last point, that it's not about you. It's not about me. We have a generational mission, and to accomplish that generational mission, we need to have a posture of selflessness and genuinely serving our community and our continent. Thank you. Oh, wow. Am I audible?
Yes, Lerato, thank you so much. That was so inspiring. We can just open the floor to any questions that anyone might have or comments. Yes, Tembi.
Hi everyone, hi Lerato. I just wanted to say that was, oh my word, that was so powerful. I wish you could just speak literally the whole day, but I just wanted to it's not a question, it's just a comment. It's just want to say that if you're able to write a book, girl, please. Girl, please. We need it. Thank you.
Okay. Wow, thank you. I'll look into that. Thank you so much. I'll take note of that. I'll take note of that. Is there another one? Am I audible? I think I keep disconnecting. I'm not sure if it's from my side. Okay. Guys, am I still there?
Yes, Lerato, you're still there.
Oh,
We have a hand from Tanya.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lerato. That was absolutely powerful, and I think you are a force to be reckoned with. I will be following you because I believe, like you said, community. The people you rub shoulders with will rub off onto you. My question is to do with your point on boldness and fearlessness, right? And how you said that you were pretty much scared throughout all your, I think your first term, if I'm not mistaken. And how do you feel about the fake it till you make it narrative? Because I know sometimes you will have to fear it. You know, for a fact on the inside you're afraid, but you know, there's like you said, there's people depending on you, communities depending on you to present this bold front to come through and do this. So how do you feel about the, you know, fake it until you make it narrative? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I believe in understanding your responsibility, understanding your duties, understanding your office. So what you are there to do, doing that. You don't necessarily have to fake it while doing that. So anyone, my mother can tell you, I was scared. People knew I was scared. People who were in my circle. So again, I think with fake it till you make it, the issue is, I'm not sure, people maybe want you to say it out loud to everyone that you are scared, but I think you also need discernment and wisdom to understand that you can't necessarily do that because it will do more damage than good. For example, there was a particular situation I'll call it a situation last year. So last year was my presidency, which was 2021. When I was president, there was a particular situation and I genuinely did not know what to do. And even students generally, man, there was just a high level of frustration, high level of anger. It was just very, 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 it was bad. Everybody was just in a mess. Again, COVID, we're still dealing with the shambles of COVID. And in that moment, students, again, it depends your context. In my context were students. Students were looking for, one, a voice of reason. They were looking for a voice of reason. Number two, they were looking for someone who would listen to their frustration. So now, if in that moment, I come out and say, and also be as frustrated as they are, or come out and actually say, no, I'm also scared, no, you know, then I lose now the opportunity to be the voice of reason, or I lose the opportunity to bring good or impact in that moment. I lose the opportunity to lead accordingly in that moment. So I don't believe in faking it till you make it. I think my people knew I was scared. Not I think, they did know. My mentors knew I was scared. My mentors held my hand through that. Family held my hand through that. But again, it's not something that I could express in front of students because they themselves are just as scared as I am. So I had to be their mentor in that moment. I had someone in my life who was not scared and who said, I got you. And I think I had to be that for the student body. So it's not necessarily faking it, but it's understanding your duty and your role in a particular time. You know, but now look now in this platform. I saw someone says as a tax student. So there's a tax student right now on this live, and I'm telling that student now post my term that, hey, I was actually scared. You know, there's time for everything. You know, now I feel like it's time to actually speak about it. But in that moment, they were looking for a voice of reason, someone to listen to them, and it was not the correct moment to actually unpack this. However, there are moments, even during your leadership term, where you have to be honest with your constituency and say, listen, to be honest, we are not quite sure. I don't know how you package that without making people panic, because people panic a lot. But there are moments in your term and in your leadership where you will have to be honest, brutally honest with your constituency and give them the truth. And sometimes the truth will be, we are seeking advise on this matter because we are also clueless. I'm not saying say it like that, but I don't believe in faking it till you make it. Let the right people know that you're suffering. Let the right people know that you are going through the most, but also understand that there are certain people who you play a particular role in their life. And I believe you should uphold that. It's not necessarily faking it. It's understanding the role and responsibility you have in their lives. Yes.
Thank you very much, Lerato. Oh, I appreciate you so much. We have a lot of messages in the chat. I was looking if we had any questions from anybody, but Tembele is clapping hands. Laura is saying so inspiring, and Khumudito is also clapping hands. Ruth is saying thank you so much, Lerato, together with Ramalia. And Martha is saying, hi, Lerato, thank you for such an inspirational and motivational talk. I don't have any questions, or she doesn't have any questions or comments, but she's thanking you. And then Ella is also saying, she's saying her mic is not working, so she has to type, and she just would like to applaud you for so many wise words. The key thing for her was when you spoke about influence, that she's saying it's a very true and good thing to carry with oneself. Okay, reading others, I see that there were no other questions. So thank you so much, Lerato. We really appreciate you. Oh, how full. I think this session should just close because like you've finished everything. Like everything. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please, I would like to join your sessions. I would like to come in for some sessions because I really appreciate this. And I will forever say it, that support community. We exist in community. Even as women, I promise you, we exist in community, and we should not think otherwise. So I really enjoy this. I follow Girleada a lot. It inspires me. I love it. I watch some of the videos. So man, please keep the invites coming. Sometimes you just come and listen and have a good time. Thank you so much, guys, for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. I think now we're just gonna wait to be separated into break rooms so that we can continue with our session. Thank you.
With me, together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's right.